Sige. We'll do it this way, ha, para medyo magising-gising din kayo. So I'll read the items, and then after I read the items, I always do it this way. No? So after I read the items, so in unison, you just say your answers. Okay, so you just go A, B, okay. Nagkakalituan pala sa sa B and D. So apple, boy, cat, and dog. Okay, so after I read the item, you just tell your answer. Okay, so number 1. Okay, and then, if generally, parang tama naman ang ating sagot, ano? And hindi kailangan ng madibdibang explanation, so just stick with the answers. Pretty much self-explanatory, I suppose, or you mastered it, and then you move on to the next items. Okay? Now, if you have questions, you just raise your hand so we can address them accordingly and while that item is still being discussed. Okay? Para hindi tayo malito. Nasa 22 na tayo, tapos gusto nyo palang liwanagin yung number 1. So, kung number 1, may tanong kayo, we stay number 1. Okay? So, maybe questions? We begin? This is your 4th exam and assessment, so I suppose this is relatively easier. Yes. Yes, okay. Good. Number 1. A test user is someone who? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Okay, good. Cat. So, a test user is actually someone who chooses the test, utilizes it for administration, scoring, and interpretation, and whatever score you get from it, you deduce your conclusions and judgment from it. Contentious questions? Malinaw to? Okay, so, ano ang tawag dun sa nag-create, develop, or adapt ng psychological test? Test? Developer. Okay, good. Number 2. Many current criticisms of psychological tests are actually due to apple, boy, cat, or dog. All together. Ang sagot nyo ay dog. All of the above. Okay. Many current criticisms of psychological tests are actually due to, aside from dog, meron pa bang ibang sagot? Yung iba? Boy. Yung iba, cat. Okay. Halo-halo, no? Okay. But the answer is boy. It's actually the misuse of the test by unqualified users. Or yung hindi tamang paggamit, no? And because you're unqualified, you probably have not mastered the test, so sometimes you use it inappropriately. Okay? Because psychological tests will not be made available for use if it has poor psychometric properties. Right? Unless, of course, you might say that projective tests, di ba, have poor psychometric properties. But declared yan. Diba, ng mga projective tests na talagang hindi maganda ang psychometric properties nila. Pero ang incremental validity, okay, and its use when administered together with objective personality tests is undeniably helpful. Okay? But in the case of standardized tests, okay, it will not be used. Hindi yan gagamitin, no, for whatever context, educational, lalo na clinical, forensic, kung hindi maganda ang quality ng test at hindi maganda ang psychometric properties. So sometimes, the tests are actually good, very reliable, very valid, but because it's used by someone who doesn't really know how to use it, okay, hindi nagiging maganda yung resulta, no, and even the interpretation of the scores. Malinaw ba? Okay. One source of information about psychological tests, which include critical reviews by one or more test specialists, and a complete bibliography of published references of psychological tests, may be found in Apple, Boy, Cat, or Dog. Everyone? Okay, so Apple. So we have the mental measurements yearbook. Okay, sinubukan nila itong tignan online. Oo, hindi nyo makikita yung content, no? Pero baka sakaling meron lang nag-search, no? Kung ano ba to? Actually, yun nga, reviews siya, no? The content of the MMY is not just limited to psychological tests. Okay, so for our information, any test that is being used in the educational setting, even business, no? So reviews ng mga different tests. It's currently on its 20th edition. So if you want to buy it, if you're really going to pursue assessment, it's very helpful. Okay, so $200. They revise it every 2-3 years. No? 20th na siya. Okay, next. So annual psychological test yearbook, wala yan. So inimbento lang yan. And then it's not in the code of ethics also. Number 4. What does it mean if Melo, a 6th grade student, gets a percentage of 50% on a vocabulary test? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Louder, please. Okay, good. So, ang narinig kong sagot generally ay boy. So, based on this data alone, his performance cannot be judged as either good or bad. So, in your own words, how do you explain this? Why is this not a good basis for... Walang norm, walang sinabing norm, ano? What else? Again? No criterion. Although we can assume that the criterion is still in vocabulary, right? Kasi it's the one being assessed by the test. That's right. But it's not clearly defined, no? So that could be a factor. But what else? Bakit hindi yan enough? May value naman, 50%. Age. So that's related to the norms, no? So kung walang norm specific to that age group, hindi mo malaman kung pasado ba or mataas or what. What else? Is raw score. It came from the raw score, but it's converted to a percentage already, right? So why is percentage adequate basis for assessing your ranking? Bakit? Well, the percentage only tells you how many items were able to answer correctly, right? But if you're going to compare your score, no, to how good it is relative to your classmates, wala tayong basis, right? It's not just ascertaining the norm, but maybe the 50% is actually the highest score already out of the, let's say, 12 students who nag-take ng test. 50%, ang isipin natin initially, pag 50% ang nakuha mo, ano, bagsak, pasado, what? Halimbawa, 5 out of 10 is 50%, right? So if you take a quiz in vocabulary and you get 5 out of 10, you get your paper back, anong iisipin ninyo? Ang score ninyo is 5 out of 10 or 50%. Isipin nyo kayo ay mahina, mataas, what? 5 out of 10, average ka pa rin. Okay, but yeah, it could be that, no? But we cannot say na bagsak ka, mataas ka, or average. Kung halimbawa yung 5 out of 10 na pala yung pinakamataas sa buong klase ninyo. So kung 5 out of 10 ang pinakamataas, ibig sabihin your standing is relatively good, right? But if the highest score is 8 out of 10, then we cannot say that, you know, it could either be pasado or okay pa or bababa na. This is clear? So percentage relative to the items that you answered, the correct items that you answered. But what would tell us what your status or ranking is would be what? What would be a good basis for knowing your ranking? Not the percentage, but can you give me? Yes, the percentile rank. What else? In this particular assessment, it's maybe the percentile rank is the best converted score, no, that we can use to assess your ranking. Is this clear? Okay. Next. Hold on. Number 5. What does it mean if Oh yeah. What does it mean if Angela, a 6th grade student, obtained a percentile score of 50 in a vocabulary test? Answer, apple, boy, cat, or dog? percentile score of 50. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? All together? Hula. Ang iba? O, yun naman. Tama naman pala yung hula ninyo eh. So, apple. Her vocabulary or her ability to understand and use words fall within the average range. Okay? Walang sumagot ng cat. Wala. She obtained a passing mark, which renders her vocabulary comparable to her age mates. Isn't this correct also? When you say comparable, ibig sabihin at par. What makes it incorrect? Well, when we say comparable to age mates, regardless of whether adolescents, basta sinabi ng comparable to age mates, ibig sabihin, kung teenager ka, yung skills mo pareho sa the rest of teenagers. Kung child ka, the rest of the children. So what made it inaccurate? Actually, it's a possible answer, cat. Right? But what made it inaccurate is that it says passing mark, no? Yung 50%, yung 50th percentile is not a passing mark, no? But it's a ranking. So the more accurate answer is apple. So what made you say that it's within the average range? Sa percentile ba, ano ang average? Ano ang scope para masabi na sa average range ka? Anong values? For you to say that your score is still within the average range. What range of scores? Percentile. Sige, tingnan nyo na lang. Nasaan? May pointer ba ito? Saan? Anyone? Angela nga ba? Sorry, sabaw pa ako ha. Angela. So, score ni Angela fall in the 50th percentile, right? So, malinaw na malinaw, nasa gitna siya. 50 is even the mean of percentile rank, right? But to extend the question, no, what is the range of percentile ranks that places a score within the average range? This is percentile. Paano niyo malalaman na nasa average pa? Ito yung mean, di ba? How many standard deviations away? Usually in psychological tests. We're not talking about below or high average, just exactly within the average range. How many standard deviations away from the mean? 1. Okay, so ito yan, di ba? 1 sigma, negative 1 sigma, positive 1 sigma. Negative 1 standard deviation, positive 1 standard deviation. So, anong equivalent? Anong equivalent? Percentile. 15 to 85. Okay? So, if the score falls within the range of 15 to 85, if 85th percentile, the score may still be within the average range. But in most tests, it's a little more conservative. It's usually 25 to 75th, 25th to 75th percentile. Naintindihan ba? Okay. Kasi kung titignan ninyo, minsan nakakalito kasi ang percentile kasi non-linear siya eh. Di ba? Masyadong dikit-dikit yung score sa gitna. Di ba? Ito tignan ninyo ha. Di ba? Ang lapit nila sa mean. Di ba? And then pagdating sa 10, 5, 1, biglang nag-disperse. Okay? Kaya yung concentration ng scores pag percentile, okay, is nasa average. No? Kaya kapag sinabi the score falls within the 25th percentile, we may say, oh, 25th percentile is already low. So it must not be past the average range already. Pero actually, if we're going to use a percentile, it's still pasok within the average range. Is this clear? Okay. Questions? Sure kayo, ha? So, pag sinabing ang score falls on the 30th percentile, can you say that the performance is still average? Yes or no? Okay. Now, it's not an absolute thing, ha? It depends on the interpretation of test scores. Because percentile, kaya siya ganyan, it's non-linear. The distances between points are not equal. Why is it like this? In the percentile, okay, it's really dependent on the obtained scores of the, for example, the test takers. So the scores lump in between, in the mean, because it adjusts the normal curve. Okay? Hindi katulad sa ibang standard scores na equal ang spacing. So for example, there are psychological tests that sets its average range, referring to percentile rank, from 25 to 75, some from 30 to 70, or in some, 15 to 85. Okay? Is this clear? Yes or no? Okay, sigurado kayo ha? Next item. Which is true about ratio IQ? The traditional definition or conception of IQ. What is true about it? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Answer? Wala kayong sagot? Hula! Wala ding hula. Hula lang. Answer. Boy. What about the others? Hindi ako mag-move on hanggang hindi kayo sumasagot. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Hindi talaga alam, no? It's not boy. Why not boy? What makes it wrong? It's very tricky. The item says, yes! It should not be chronological age over mental age. It should be mental age over chronological age. Very good. You saw that. Okay. Now, so B is not the answer. What's your next guess? Okay. So cat is the answer. It was abandoned for deviation IQ, or now what we call deviation IQ, or IQ index, no? So, after a while, yung ratio IQ, hindi na yan ang ginagamit. That's not how we compute IQ scores anymore. It's at 100 times MA over C. We don't use it anymore. Why is that? Why was it abandoned for the deviation IQ? How do we compute now for IQ scores? If your IQ score is high average, below average, superior, borderline, what are the scores that you take into consideration? Of course, your IQ score, and what else? You look at the, paano nyo malalaman kung kayo ay nasa above average, below average, ano yung mga tinitignan ninyo? You look at the, what scores, what values? Okay. Okay. This is the mean, right? Do you remember what is the mean of the MAB or the Stanford or the Webster Intelligence Scale? Do you remember? It's very easy to remember. It's 100. That's the average IQ, right? Of an average person, regardless of age. Okay. Now, if your score is 115, your IQ score is 115, how would you know if your score of 115 would fall within the average, above average, superior, below average, borderline? What are the scores that you're going to look at in the normal curve? Ito eh, sabi dun sa manual, 100 eh. 100 yung mean. Eh, ang nakuha ko 115 eh. So, saan ako dito? Ano ang mga titignan ko? You don't just look at your chronological age and mental age, not anymore, right? We look at the what? The mean, right? Of course, you look at the mean first. 100 yung mean, 115 yung score ko. So, saan ako? Ino-locate ko. Saan ang starting point mo? Ito ba ang starting point mo? Saan ang starting point mo? Sa mean. Di ba? So, in the deviation IQ, you look at your mean. What else? The standard deviation. Di ba? Kung gaano kalayo ang score mo. Is it still within the one standard deviation above the mean? If it's still within that one standard deviation, then my performance is what? Average. Naintindihan ba? Okay, so kaya ang ratio IQ ay hindi na ginagamit. So ngayon ito na ginagamit ng deviation IQ. We look at the mean and the standard deviation. Okay? To ascertain the value or interpretation of our IQ scores. What else? Yung computation kasi ng ratio IQ na 100 times MA over CA, the assumption is, di ba, when you take into consideration the chronological age and the mental age, anong assumption? Kung yun lang ang tinitignan mo, you look at the age. You're learning relative to age. Ibig sabihin, yung idea nila ng IQ is that, patanda ka ng patanda, anong mangyayari sa yung IQ? Pataas ng pataas. Tama ba? And it's not always the case. Because, in theory and based on researches, when you reach a certain age, by young adulthood, IQ becomes relatively stable. And when you get older, okay, certain aspects of your intelligence declines. So it's no longer applicable, right? If we're coming from Catel's notion of intelligence, which aspect of intelligence declines with age? Is it the fluid or the crystallized? Everyone? It's the fluid intelligence that declines. Okay? Ano ba yung fluid intelligence? Mamike na tayo. Marinig na lahat. Hello, test. Sige, para ma-review kayo, ha? So, what is the difference between fluid and crystallized?
Crystallized knowledge is what you learn through class or through knowledge is what you learn through experience.
Yes, okay. That's right.
Through experience and through
Okay.
experience. That's what you learn through knowledge or through
Whether formal or informal training. Okay, what about fluid intelligence?
something you learn throughout development or experience or what you something like that.
Okay, so parang medyo
Yes.
kapareho. Anyone? But that's okay. Crystallized is the information that you acquire through formal and informal learning, okay? Or skills, no? But what about fluid intelligence? Anyone? Katel. Fluid is your ability to what? Absorb information is, well, you also have information, so which applies to intelligence. So fluid is what?
It's already determined innate intelligence.
Okay, there's an aspect that is innate because it's one's ability to what? Fluid intelligence. Give me one word na pwede nang mag-sum up what fluid intelligence is.
Your ability to do everyday tasks.
Okay. Do everyday tasks. It's like applying your fluid intelligence already. But your ability to do everyday tasks in psychological assessment terms is what? It's adaptive functioning or daily living skills. Right? So we have to be accurate with our terms. So fluid intelligence is your ability to what? To integrate, to use the information that you've learned. Right? To reason. Okay? To think creatively. Okay? To process, to put them all together so that you can solve problems, not necessarily just academic problems. So yung crystallized intelligence, for example, you get asked, how many days are in a year? O kaya your accounting skills, your site skills. But fluid intelligence is your ability to put these information together so you can solve something, or you can create something, or to process something. Okay? So with age, syempre humaba ng ating explanation. But with age, it's the fluid intelligence that declines, no? And crystallized intelligence is pretty much retained. Is that clear? Okay. Moving on. To know the standing of a client in an IQ test relative to the performance of other people his age, the psychometrician may refer to the apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer? All together? Okay. Of course, the norms table is right, but the question is more specific, and there is an option that is more specific, which is the what? Apple, the deviation IQ. Okay? Tama ba kayo? Oh, tama. Okay, mahiya. Number 8. Which number or score best characterizes a norm group? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone. Hindi ko natutuloy ito, hindi kayo sumasagot. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Okay, apple, it's the mean. It best characterizes the norm group. Okay? It's the average. Di ba mas marami namang average, kaya mas malaki ang bump ng average kaysa sa mga ibang parts of the normal curve. No? So it's the one that defines the norm group. Okay, number 9. Which describes the criterion more accurately? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Which describes the criterion more accurately? Answer. More accurately. The answer is cat. An external measure that the test, parang may nagpupustahan, siya yata tama, katabi niya mali. Okay. An external measure that the test is designed to predict. Well, you have to be careful with that. It says which describes the criterion more accurately. No? Letter A, a standard that the client must be able to meet or comply with. You're not really required to meet or comply with it, right? In a way, parang tama, pero hindi accurate yung definition, no? Letter B, a principle or standard by which something may be judged or decided. Yes, but then again, it's not really a principle or a standard, but it has to be a measure, okay? That the client must be able to meet so that the score predicts something. Okay, now to be more specific, let me give you an example of a criterion. Okay. So by definition, again, it's an external measure that the test is designed to predict. For example, you're given an aptitude test. Okay? So this is the test. So what is the criteria? Ang aptitude test, ano nga ba? It assesses what? Ito naman tayo. Potential future. Okay? So, it assesses your current skills, no? Relative to how you will perform a particular task, no? Perhaps in the future, whatever that task is, no? So, for example, an aptitude test. What is the best criteria for an aptitude test? For example, in the context of work. So, kailangan mo external measure that the test is designed to predict. So what do you think? In the context of work, what can we assess the aptitude test against? How do I simplify the question? What would verify, no, that the result of the aptitude test is actually correct? Anong external measure ang pwede natin i-analyze together with the aptitude test? What other test? What criterion? Okay, supposing you're an HR person, Okay? And you administer an aptitude test. Okay? To predict if this person will really do good in a particular work. Let's say, for example, in the sales function. Okay? So, ano yung test na pwede mong ibigay dito sa salesperson na ito kapag nandun na siya sa kanyang workplace? That would confirm the result of the aptitude test. What? Yes. Okay? So you'd actually administer a performance test or evaluate the actual performance. So what is the criterion here? The criterion is the actual work performance. Naintindihan ba? This is the external measure. When we say external measure, it's independent of the test. It's not part of the aptitude test. Naintindihan ba? Is this clear? Okay, so that is criterion. Questions? Nasaan na tayo? 10. 10 pa lang, no? Okay, bilisan ko ah. Domain reference or objective reference tests are also known as what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Yan, sa wakas. Boy, criterion references. So when you see these terms, they're all the same, no? 11. Domain reference tests compare a person's performance with apple, oh, yan, ha? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone? Oh, domain or criterion reference test, remember? Compare a person's performance with dog. How much a person knows about the set criterion. Remember, okay, the measure predicts the criterion. So of course it has to be how much the person knows about that criterion, right? Okay. So, pareho yan, ha? Domain reference, criterion reference. Oh, number 12 is easy. Norm reference test, compare a person's performance with apple, boy, cat, or dog. All together. Lakasan. Apple, the population where he belongs to. Error variance is apple, boy, cat, or dog? Oh, actually, medyo mali yung, yung tamang sagot, meron ako nailagay na nagpamali. Pero, sige, mas mali yung iba eh. So, anong sagot ninyo? Error variance is apple, okay. But, sige, I will, babawi ako. Explain ko. Error variance, we should understand it in the context of what kind of variance of scores. If there's error variance, there is what? Kung may error, merong true variance of scores. So, anong difference ng dalawang yan? Anong difference ng error and true variance? Yung error variance, the differences, when you say variance is what? The difference in? When you say variance in scores, the difference in? Okay, that's right, but it's pretty complex. So, sige, pasimplihan natin. When we say variance in test scores, it means what? Variance, variance, variance. Difference, okay? In true variance of scores, the variance or the difference in scores is based on the Kasi you're answering, but they have to hear it. Okay.
understanding my biased opinions,
It cannot be a biased opinion. Okay, but that's okay. Sige.
true variance is what the test purports to measure. However, the variance is caused because the people have a unique answer, unique score for themselves. That's why it's different.
Okay, sige. Let me simplify, huh? But that's okay. Sometimes we understand terms from a technical point of view, but it may help if we try to simplify it, no? It would help if we simplify it. Okay. In true variance of scores, let's say the same person takes a test of, ito example na lang, test of energy levels within the day. Okay? Now, with true variance of scores, maaaring mag-iba-iba yung scores mo sa same test na yan. Okay? Pero, yung difference dun sa scores na yan is because ganun talaga yung characteristic ng energy. It's attributable to the true differences in the characteristics under condition. Hindi niyo ba? Energy levels within the day. Yung sigla mo within the day. You take the test 5 times today. Okay? So, your score at 8 a.m. may be different from your scores at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11, 12 noon. Tama? Okay. But, it varies. May variance na taas-baba, taas-baba. Kasi expected yon. Kasi ganun talaga ang energy levels. In principle. Diba? That is true variance of scores. The scores vary because in truth, that the characteristic of the criterion is really like that, pabago-bago. But, with error variance, the fluctuation of scores, you take it at 8 a.m., 9, 10, 11, so taas, baba. Pero supposedly, ang energy within that span of 4 hours should be pretty much stable, right? It cannot shoot up and down like that. Right? So, extreme differences in scores may be attributable not to the idea of energy, no? not true differences, but it may be because of error variance. Yes, could be due to other factors. Okay? Can you give me a pretty much stable trait? Characteristic or personality trait? Yung medyo stable over time. Okay, cognitive function. Anyone? Review your theories. Ano yung stable? State trait. Trait, not state. Anyone? Iba naman ha, para mag-isip din sila. Bigay ko na lang ang mic ha. Example lang to. Ano yung mga attributes niyo na stable sa inyo? Hindi nagbabago kahit ilang araw ang nagdaan. O pabago-bago talagang medyo characteristics. Kyle? Personality trait. Cognitive abilities. Could come from a concept, psychological concept. That's okay, but let's just review a bit of your theory. Pretty much stable. Cognitive. Optimism? Okay, sige. Optimism. Or if we come from the 5 traits, openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeable, neuroticism, these are pretty much typical traits, right? So, if I administer the 16 PF to you today, okay, and your 16 PF score yields, let's say, optimism, maybe neuroticism factor, you obtain a 10 of 10 in neuroticism, which means you are what? You're neurotic. But you're highly anxious. Okay? So I administer the test today. And then I administer the test to you after 1 week. Now, your score after 1 week, after 1 week should be what? If the idea is that personality traits is relatively stable, you should obtain a set of what? 10 or around that number. Siguro mga 8 to 10. No? It cannot be a 1, isn't it? In theory, it's stable. No? Now, if you obtained a score of 8 to 10, so there's little variance, right? But, if you obtained a score of 1, ang laki ng difference, right? Now, to which will we attribute it to? In principle, is it error or true variance? Everyone. It could be error. Okay? Error variance in scores. Naintindihan ba? Kasi by definition or in principle, hindi yan dapat nag-fluctuate ng ganyan. Hindi dapat ganyan kalaki yung variance. Naintindihan ba? Malinaw! Okay. Yung mga nasa side na to, kita niyo naman to. Ito diba? Malinaw naman itong side na to. Pwede bang ito na lang pagalawin ko? Ang effort pa kasi. Okay, anyway. Number 18. Sorry, 14. Oh, it's related. A psychometrician uses self-esteem scale to assess his research participants' overall satisfaction every day for 1 week. He noted fluctuations in his clients' scores. He was expecting to see more stable results as enduring characteristic. The fluctuation may be attributed to apple, boy, cat, or dog. After the explanation, what is your answer? Everyone. Boy. Error. Yes. So, saan ba nanggagaling ang error variance? What's your answer? 15. Major sources of error variance are apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer? Cat. So, both A and B. It could be time sampling. It could be how it was administered. Or it could be content sampling. It could actually be the items of the test, no, na hindi consistent, okay, or hindi reliable. Naintindihan ba? Next. All are major sources of error variance in KR reliability or inter-item consistency except for apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer? Dog. So, event sampling. Malinaw ba ang KR reliability or inter-item consistency? Okay, so the items are consistently what? Measuring. Okay, the items are consistently measuring the same construct. Okay? So, kung hindi magandang items, content sampling, naturally it would cause error. Kung masyadong heterogeneous ang domain or construct, ano bang ibig sabihin ng heterogeneous? Okay, sabog, no? Iba-iba. So, syempre, kung iba-iba yung items, kung ina-assess ng items, masyadong heterogeneous yung construct mo or domain mo, natural, bababa ang item consistency. Okay, and of course, even more if there are different constructs measured in the test. This is clear? That event sampling isn't really a factor. 17. Psychometricians A and B were trained to use projective tests. Psychometrician A administered the TAP to client Chelsea. On the other hand, psychometrician B administered the house treat person to Chelsea. Nag-multiple personality siya. After Chelsea's responses, they obtained discrepant results. This difference in interpretation may be due to what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer? Altogether, ang dali lang nito, my goodness. Dog! All of the above. So my question is, do you understand what scorer variance is? Yes or no? Yes? No need for explanation. Just to be sure, let's discuss. Okay, sige. Scorer variance is, well, there are psychological tests that are pretty tricky to score, right? For example, projective test. Okay. Now, psychometration A may give, let's look at the head, no? Let's say the drawing, Chelsea's drawing of the head is large, no? So sa psychometration A, ang interpretation niya is, yung kanyang ego ay, there's a need, no, to affirm or to stroke the ego. The other attributes it to delusional thinking about the self. So discrepant yung interpretation. Now, both may be correct interpretations, but it may also be because of the difference in the way the scorers evaluate it. Okay? So that is scorer variance. Okay? So it may be considered an error. Okay? And the way to address this is to what? How to address scorer variance? Yes. Okay, to establish the inter-rater reliability of the test or a particular item. So the scorer variance is really coming from the scorer himself. Okay? Naintindihan ba? Okay. 18, easy. Item difficulty refers to what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Right. So apple. Item difficulty may be a tricky concept because when you say difficulty, you tend to think that it's the percentage of the items because it's difficult. The percentage of the items answered incorrectly. No, but actually, it's the percentage of yes, the percentage of persons who answer it correctly. Okay? So the higher the percentage of the persons who answered it correctly, what does it say about the item? The item is what? The item is? Okay, the item is easy. Okay, so depende sa taas, no? Okay. And then the lower the percentage, the item is more challenging. Okay. In analysis of item difficulty, the most suitable items are spread over a difficulty range of. So dapat ito yung difficulty range, ito yung i-aim natin na item difficulty percentage, no? So within what level? How much percentage? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Answer. Gusto nyo syempre yung item ko. No? Actually, depende rin yan sa sa rational ng test developer. No? Sometimes they want an item easy. So it's like an entry-level item. No? But on the average, you want an item, what? Difficult level is within the range of what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? The answer is apple. Siyempre naman nasa around 50% level. Okay? Now, kung magde-develop kayo ng test, yun nga, like what I have said, no, it depends. So if you are constructing item number 1, which is supposed to be an easy item, like a basal item, it should be, of course, relatively easy. Okay? But if you want it moderately difficult, of course, it has to be within the 50% difficulty range. Malinaw ba? 20. The process of comparing a person's score on an item to an external criterion or to his total score. So, bali, you have the total score of the test, no? And then you compare that score to your score on item number 5. Okay, ganun yun, no? So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng apple, boy, cat, or dog. Comparing your score on an item, let's say item number 5, to your total score on that test is called apple, boy, cat, or dog. Sagot! Mali! Ang sagot ay boy! But you know, this falls under the greater process of item analysis, okay? But the answer is Boy, item discrimination. So ano bang intindi natin sa item discrimination? Oh, sorry. Item discrimination. But I love the confidence, huh? That's how we take the exam. Of course. Yun nga, it's not completely wrong, ha? Kasi nga item discrimination falls under a larger item analysis. Okay. Kita nyo dito? Let's look at item difficulty and item discrimination. Like what I said, the higher the percentage, the easier the item. So we look at column item difficulty. Okay? So we can see here that the items are relatively what? The items are relatively 1, 3, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. Relatively what? Easy items, ano? Okay. Now, with item discrimination, the higher the correlation, the more discriminating the item is, no? So if we look at this column, okay, we aim, in test development, we aim for at least positive 0.20, no? Na value. So that we can say that the item is discriminating. Ano bang ibig sabihin natin when the item is discriminating? What? The item is what? Item discrimination? That the item what? Discriminates between what? Not across items. Yung higher taker po at yung lower taker. That the item discriminates between the high performing or the low performing in that particular item. Is this clear? So kung itong item na to, enough ba sa I constructed item number 1? No? Itong item na to would allow me ba to identify or to split the group into ito yung high performing. Ito yung mga low performing. Kaya siya ina-analyze against the, by definition, ina-analyze yung score dun sa item na yon against the what? What score? You look at the questionnaire. Against the? Yes. So the overall or total test score. Let's say this group, look at me. This group, wow. Sasabay-sabay dito again. Sarap na feeling ako lahat. But anyway, yes. So let's say this is the high-performing group. And this is the low-performing group. Okay? Now, I look at all your test scores. Ang tataas ninyo. So malalaman ko na itong item number 1 is discriminating if the correlation between your total score and item number 1 is high. Is it clear? Is it clear? So, the higher the value, the more discriminating the item is. So, in test development, at least a 0.20, positive 0.20. The higher, the better. Now, again, when you're developing a test, should I omit items that are not discriminating? Kung kayo gagawa ng test, ay, baba to, tanggal ko tong item na to. It depends again on the purpose of that item. So if you want an item that puts the population in a certain same level, no, then it's not really a discriminating kind of, your intention is not to discriminate the group, then it's okay, you can retain that item. So it depends on the purpose of the test developer. Sa lecture ni Sir Chester, na-discuss niyo yung discontinue. Tama? Naalala niyo yun? Sa test, yung process ng discontinuation o I'm supposed to give an example kasi, but I might complicate things. But anyway, Sige, wag na lang. Baka palito tayo lalo. But is it clear? Height of discrimination. Okay, sige. 21. If an RSI wants to find out the level of her client's innate cognitive ability, she may administer a what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Very good. Dog, an ability test. 22. Which of the following tests is more closely tied to experience? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Boy, achievement test. Experience in the sense of formal and informal training. Okay? Which one is assumed to be least tied to experience? Assumed to be least tied with experience. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Not cat. Answer? Next answer. No. It's the ability. Innate, remember? Okay, so when we say, not to confuse you, the answer is boy. Yung question ko kanina, which one is least tied naman? It's ability. Okay? 23. Which of the following is true about the field of psychometrics? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Apple, sorry. Answer? Yes, the answer is dog. All of the above. Twenty-four. Which is most true about psychological assessment? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Very good, boy. It is a process where psychological traits are interpreted and where judgments are made. What makes cat wrong? Okay, so not all psychological tests are scored. Okay, and not all psychological traits are quantified, can be quantified. 25. A psychologist would like to assess if 4-year-old Maria's milestones were achieved on time and as expected. To do this, the psychologist may conduct apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer? Dog. Developmental screening. 26. The type of assessment that allows for identification of strengths and weaknesses and formulation of recommendations and remedial actions are called apple, boy, cat, or dog. Very good. Diagnostic tests. So diagnostic tests are the ones that ascertain this, no? So the primary aim of diagnostic tests is to really ascertain areas of strengths and weakness, and if there are areas of weakness, what can we do about it? Okay? But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to arrive at a diagnosis, huh? No, diagnostic test is just, again, assess strengths, weakness for formulation of interventions. Okay, 27. Psychological measurement is apple, boy, cat, or dog. Psychological measurement is apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer? Apple. Measurement. Diba yung difference na measurement sa testing, evaluation, at assessment? When we say measurement, the psychological construct is really what? It's required that it is scored. Okay? Okay, the phrase test user qualifications as per APA refers to apple, boy, cat, or dog. Okay, dali naman, no giveaway. Siyempre, dog. Okay? Speaks about one's competence. So it includes your skills in assessment, your trainings, and of course, your academic credentials or background. 29. The process that integrates test information with information from other sources, evaluating behavior, constructs, and characteristics for the purpose of making decisions, so on and so forth, is referred to as answer? Answer. Dog. Psychological assessment. May point. Yay! 30. Which of the following statements is necessary to describe a psychological test? Is necessary, huh? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer. The answer is apple. It contains strict guidelines in terms of test utilization. Strict guidelines in terms of how you will use it. Okay? The test is considered a psychological test as long as it measures aspects of human behavior. What makes this incorrect? Oh yes, what makes aspects of what made it wrong is the phrase aspects of human behavior. What would make it accurate or more correct? Aspects of what? Not just human behavior, but not just our behaviors, but or how do you define psychology? Okay, it could be mental processes and human behavior, or it could be psychological functioning. Okay? Next. 31. After scoring a personality test, Romeo referred back to a theory and to his past experiences in assessment. To help him understand the test results, this process of assessment is called, easy, apple, boy, cat, or dog? Cat interpretation. The following are important activities in assessment, except apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer? The answer is dog. Ay, sorry, mali yung tanong ko. Ay, mali yung sagot. Dapat pala none of the above. Hindi pala all of the above. Kasi lahat yan important activities. Sorry, error ko yan. So, the answer is dog if it's none of the above. Please, Shane. Sorry. None of the above. Everything is important, including C. So, deciphering when to question the usual interpretation of a procedure because of intervening or mitigating circumstances. What do we mean by letter C? Because I heard some say it's an exception, no? If, for example, binigyan mo siya ng very verbal test, no? Merong vocabulary, may reading comprehension, pero hindi kasi ito ang kanyang, how do I say, hindi ito yung kanyang primary language, no? So we can say that we have to decipher, we have to evaluate if the score is impacted or influenced by these intervening factors. Is this clear? This is very important in the process of assessment. Malinaw ba? Yes or no? Okay, so it's important. Okay, 33. Which of the following statements accurately reflects the meaning of a standardized test? Easy. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone. Cat. The test score is always compared to a norm. What makes B incorrect? The test is often scored. Dapat naman may score para ma-compare mo sa norm. What made it incorrect? Often. The test should be scored. 34. The process by which we choose a set of rules to measure a characteristic or phenomenon is called apple, boy, cat, or dog. All together? The answer is apple. It's skiing or scaling. First time to encounter the term? No, I just added this. I went over your lectures. It's not there. So I'm just adding this. So this is the process wherein you choose the rules, to measure, to how you will measure your construct, So it could be based on a theory or an empirical study, and then you choose whether it's nominal, interval, ordinal, scaling. Clear? Alam niyo naman yung scales? Measurement, scales of measurement. O yun yun, yung scaling. Okay, there. Anong pinakamababa na level? Then, and then, and then, okay. 35. History. The main reason why the first intelligence tests were developed was to apple, boy, cat, or dog. Yes. Dinosaur ang gusto. D. Screen students for school readiness. Yes. Letter D. Dog. 36. The main difference between Galton and Binet's definition or conceptualization of intelligence is what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Very good. Apple. So Galton focused on sensory motor skills. Ano ba yung mga types of test niya? Yes, performance test. Yung mga early forms of assessment of intelligence. Testing for what? Ano yung method? Reaction time, remember? Visual acuity or sharpness. Ano pa? Strength of grip. Yan. Kaya sensory motor yung, very sensory motor ang conception na ng intelligence. Si Binet, verbal na, no? It's the onset or the start of the development of the more advanced intelligence test. 37. Which of the following is true of the use of psychological tests during the First World War? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone? The answer is boy. The need for intelligence tests in the Army paved the way for the development of group testing. I heard C. The need for intelligence, actually, yung paving the way for career tests is not, hindi eh. Yung need for intelligence tests kasi, for assessing your ability so that they would, kung saan sila ilalagay, no? But, totoo din na yung war, yung after the war, no? Doon nag-start ang development ng, yes, development of career tests, okay? Placement test, career placement test. 38. The first personality test was developed primarily to apple, boy, cat, or dog. The first personality test is that? Yes, cat. To treat soldiers with post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay? And actually to identify who are prone to developing war distress. No? Okay, easy. 39. The blank tells us that a score in a test may not be absolute but may fall within a range. So what is this? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Very good. So the answer is apple. Confidence interval. 40. Gina wants to assess the reliability of a mood scale that she's developing. She conceptualized mood as a state. What test of reliability will she use the least? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Least, ha? Yung hindi niya, yung pinakahuli niyang gagamitin test of reliability. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? The answer is boy. If it's a state, pabago-bago, you don't want to retest reliability, right? But the other three may be administered or be utilized. Mag-ingat kayo dun sa mga keywords na gano'n, ano? So, mood, state. Okay. 41. Robert administered an aptitude test comprised of 5 subtests. The test yields 5 subtest scores and 1 overall or composite score. Which is the first and more important strategy that he should do in interpreting the score? What is the first and more important strategy? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? All together. The answer is apple. The first, diba, according to Kaufman, you look at the overall and composite score. But Kaufman also said, remember, that of course you have to look at the subtest scores, the combination of those, and then you look at the high and low scores. But the first thing is to look at the overall or composite score. Tama? It's the most reliable and the most valid score. 42. Easy. In testing, we convert raw scores to standard scores, primarily apple, boy, cat, or dog. All together? The answer is apple. To render the scores comparable to the norm and to other tests or sub-tests. Okay. Paano ang AABC din ba yung nakalagay sa inyo? May D. Okay, so nag-ano lang. Anyway, bakit mali yung C? May sumagot ng C narinig ko. What makes letter C incorrect? Yes, okay. So, raw scores, okay, usually, most of the time, we convert to scale scores, right? Or converted scores. But there are tests, like what I said before, if you're the class that I reviewed, no? I said before that there are tests that looks at raw scores pa rin. Diba? So, in general, we cannot say that raw scores are totally uninterpretable. Okay? Like the career inventory by Holland, RIASEC, diba raw scores yon? Hindi naman siya converted scores eh. But the raw scores have meaning. Okay, or the raw scores can be interpreted. Is this clear? Okay, next. The psychologist of a patient who suffered from a brain concussion after being hit by a hard object on the head would like to assess if her patient's abilities were affected by the incident. The psychologist is more likely to give him apple, boy, cat, or dog. Very easy, yes. Of course, you would want to administer a performance test. 44. If you want to determine an applicant's overall attitude towards the job you are offering, you are more likely to use a apple, boy, cat, or dog. Easy answer? Dog. Personality test. To determine the likelihood that a student would fare well in a course that he applied in, he may be given apple, boy, cat, or dog. Easy? Answer? Apple. Aptitude test. Extend natin yung tanong na yan, ha? So, aptitude test yung ibibigay sa kanya ngayon. So, paano natin mabe-verify kung ang score niya sa aptitude test ay mataas, no? So, ibig sabihin, pasok na pasok siya dun sa course na pinili niya, let's say, psychology. So, what could be our criterion? Yes, it could be the GPA, okay? Or the grade in psychology subjects. Intindihan ba? Okay. Scores that serve as reference points and divide a set of data into 2 or more classifications are called what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Cut scores, yes. So, 47. A paper and pencil standardized test that is aimed to quantify a person's learning of psychology before being given a professional license is more likely to be or an apple, boy, cat, or dog? Okay, apple, an achievement test. How much you've learned in psychology. What do you think? Is the licensure exam an achievement test or an aptitude test? Should it really be like that? Should it be an achievement test? Should it be an aptitude test? What do you think? Sige. Wala na. Para pag habang nag-take kayo ng exam, maano ninyo yung, ano ba to? Achievement ba to? Aptitude? Yeah.
It's more of an achievement test. It has EOS. So to begin with, there's a clear coverage of what items the test will measure or assess.
What about the others? Or anyone here who says it could be an aptitude test? Okay. Now, usually, parang entrance exam. Pero, ang board exam kasi assesses how much you've learned, assesses your skills, no? I cannot say that they conceptualize it as a purely achievement test, okay? But we can say that it's most likely an achievement test, an assessment of how much you've mastered so that you earn your license, so that you're worthy of earning a license. Okay? Wala lang. Discussion question. Pinahaba ko lang. Usapan. It's something that I thought about while writing the exam. Anyway, 48. In which of the following situations is personality test not needed? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Yes, dog. If our counselor aims to identify which job will intellectually fit the client. So, kung ganito yung aim ng counselor, anong ibibigay niyang test? Okay, so a cognitive functioning test, no? Not a personality test. 49. A correlation coefficient of negative 0.85 between religiosity and law-breaking means that apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone? Cat. Very easy. So highly religious people are less likely to break laws. So negative. No one, as one goes up, the other one goes down. The value goes up. 50. After correlating two sets of data, specifically assertiveness and academic performance, a psychometrician obtained a correlation coefficient of positive 0.90. This means that apple, boy, cat, or dog? Very good. Apple. Highly assertive people are likely to perform better in academics. 51. Which of the following reliability coefficients will provide that a test has good test-retest reliability? Easy answer? Cat. Of course, you want a high positive correlation. Positive 0.90. Which of the following statements does not describe the function of KR20? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Cat. It's not true that it can be used to get the reliability for personality tests. Why is that? Yes, so for KR20, it's for items that have dichotomous responses. So you say dichotomous, kasi like halimbawa yung Neo, di ba ano lang siya, A or B lang siya. So that makes it dichotomous. Pero bakit hindi KR20 ang ginamit? Yes, so in KR20 there should be a correct answer. Okay, so one should be wrong, one should be the right answer. In personality test, there is no right or wrong answer, even if the options are dichotomous. Naintindihan ba? Okay. So, letter A can be used to determine if the test is reliable or not. Definitely. KR20 is a statistic used to ascertain reliability. Letter B can be used to determine which items must be changed to improve reliability of the test. Yes, definitely. No? So, these are correct of KR20. 53. A psychometrician would like to assess the reliability of psychological tests scoring system. Which of the methods is the most appropriate in this situation? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Easy. So inter-scorer reliability, boy. So the inter-score reliability pertain to the scoring system. Yung A, C, and D pertain to what? Yes, you analyze the items. Clear? 54. Construct identification procedures of validating a test aims to apple, boy, cat, or dog? Easy, so the answer is dog. To check if the test is measuring the construct it aims to measure. 55. The following statements are true about the contrasted groups method, except apple, boy, cat, or dog. Very good, cat. It makes use of two different psychological tests with the same construct. So, what would make it correct? Bakit mali yung C? Okay, so dapat isang test lang, ano ang magkaiba? Yung groups, kaya nga siya contrasted groups method. Okay? 56. Past studies suggest that once crystallized intelligence increases with age, you develop a test that measures crystallized intelligence. Oh, kalido niyo si Cattell. Which of the following outcomes would make you conclude that your test is valid using age differentiation technique? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Okay, that's pretty easy, no? Mahaba lang yung tanong. Pero yes, of course, the lower level students should have lower scores as compared to the older students. Okay? 57. You want to validate your constructed test on fear using convergent validity. To do this, you should apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone. The answer is dog. You have to find an established test on neuroticism or anxiety so that it would converge with your test of fear. Okay? So, pwede ba yung letter A, set the appropriate criterion of the test? Pwede ba to? If you're establishing validity. Okay, you do the setting of the criterion even before you construct the test, okay? Not after the development of the test, okay? Why is B incorrect? Find the test battery on bravery or tapa. Okay, so if you do this, yes, you're establishing the discriminant validity. May sumagot ba ng C? Bakit mali ang C? Yeah, okay lang naman ang newly constructed test, kaya lang it did not say if it has good psychometric properties. Okay? So, 58. So, pwede yun. Find another newly constructed test with good psychometric properties. Okay? With the same construct as fear. 58. Establishing that the new test is measuring a different construct is what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Apple. Discriminant validity. Ito, madali dito. 59. So, to confirm a theory that the personality test should have 3 different groups of items. One should conduct apple, boy, cat, or dog. Very good. Factor analysis. What will you do? Exploratory, confirmatory? So let's extend the question. To confirm a theory that a personality test should have 3 different groups according to theory, will you do exploratory factor analysis or confirmatory factor analysis? Oh, yun na nga, confirm. Confirmatory factor analysis. Meron ka ng theory ang pinagbabasihan. No? So, you just have to see if your test really adheres to the theory. 60. To improve the overall reliability of a test, we should remove items that do not contribute to the test. So we know which one should be omitted by looking at the apple, boy, cat, or dog. Very good, apple, Cronbach's alpha. which tells us how many test takers got item 10 correct or incorrect. Oh, natakil na kanina. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone. Cat. KR20. A psychometrician found out that test takers get inconsistent answers on test item 15. He thought that this item should be changed. This decision is based on apple, boy, cat, or dog. Inconsistent. So, yes. So the answer is still cat. Still the KR20. Parang hindi ko makita kung talaga bang consistently tama o mali ang nakukuha nilang sagot dito. No? So you can look at the KR20. 63. Very easy. So everyone answer. Huh? Percentile rank refers to apple, boy, cat, or dog. With conviction, your answer is? Are you serious? The answer is? Oh my, dog! The number of scores are outscored by a given score. Sabi ko po, with conviction. The number of scores that are based above a given score, that's beyond the value of the percentile rank. 64. Okay, this is a tricky one. Which of the following is not true about the z-score? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? What is not true about the z-score? Ano bang mean ng z-score? Oh, so tama yung letter C. Tanggal na siya. Oh, ano na lang? Apple, boy, or dog? Standard scores, hindi nyo kailangan ng mean. Hindi B ang sagot. Kailangan nyo ng mean, syempre. So ano na lang? A o D? Dog! What made dog incorrect? What is missing in dog? To compute for the D scores. After knowing the score, aside from the score, what do you need? The mean, of course. So it's the score, the mean, and the standard deviation. Basta standard score pinag-uusapan, laging kasama yan sa computation. The obtained score, the mean, and then the standard deviation. So these are essential in computing for standard scores, like Z, T, IQ scores, okay? Even Sten, Stanheim, decile, quartile. 66. The first step in organizing scores using the Stanheim system is, of course, the what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? 65. Okay. Sorry. The section in the normal curve where a test score will fall into, kakasabi lang natin, apple, boy, cat, or dog? Yes. So it can be determined by computing for the mean and the standard deviation. Diyan mo malalaman kung saan mahuhulog yung score mo, kung nasaan ka sa normal curve. Okay? 66. The first step is what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Okay, of course, you have to organize the scores from highest to lowest. Okay? So you would know which scores would fall dun sa Stanheim 1, 2, 3, 4. Sequential kasi yan. So, syempre, organized dapat ang scores. 67. Wala pa tayo sa kalahati. Which of the following statements is not true about the Stanheim system? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? What is not true? Hula. The answer is boy. How can it be independent of the normal curve? It's within the normal curve. Yeah, it's not true. It's not independent of the normal curve. So, letter A, why is it true? Of course, you have to organize the score. So, tama ang A. Letter C, The qualitative meaning of standing is determined by the assessor. Isn't it? Kayo ang nagsasabi kung ang 1 ay bagsak na, ang 2 ay pasado pa, ang 3 ay mataas, ang 4 ay average. Di ba ang assessor? But the assessor bases these divisions or assignment from a theory, okay, or empirical evidence. Okay? So you set that. Letter D. The number of scores that will fall under standard is fixed. Yes, it's pretty fixed. That's why it's standard, no? Space between the points is equal. 68. A psychometration obtained a discriminant validity value of negative 0.10 between two unrelated constructs. This means apple, boy, cat, or dog. Yeah, so the constructed test is is different from the other test it was correlated to. So we want this if you're establishing discriminant validity. 69. The main purpose of the norm is to, easy, apple, boy, cat, or dog. All together. The answer is boy. To enable the psychometration to make decisions. May sumagot ba ng C? We don't obtain the raw score, to enable the psychometration to obtain the raw score from a test taker. That's the purpose of testing. Okay? But not really the purpose of the norm. Okay, so it's not C, it's not B, and it's not B and C. It's not letter D, both B and C. Okay, number 17. Given a set of scores with a mean of 54 and standard deviation of 7, the z-score equivalent of 52 is apple, boy, cat, or dog? Very good. Negative 0.28. Familiar na kayo sa formula ng z-score? Familiar na kayo sa z-score? Formula? Oh, nasa handouts niya yan. I double check. It's there. Okay, so score minus mean divided by very good standard deviation. So you see, sa standard scores, laging kasama ang score, mean, SD. Score, mean, SD. Okay? So it's a matter of remembering where is it in the equation. Okay? So negative 0.20. Hindi ko siya nailagay sa slide eh, pero but anyway, it's in your handouts, no? Okay. Given a set of scores with the highest raw score of 98 and the lowest raw score of 15, which of the following is true about the first stanine of a distribution? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? What's your hula? Ah, boy. The answer is, actually kulang yung values eh. It cannot be computed. But if we're familiar with the normal curve and the distribution of the percentage per stanine, we can say that the highest value of stanine 1 is, of course, the lowest, 17. Ilan ng percentage? Cumulative percentage ng stanine 1. Ilang percent? That's right, 4%, no? So if you compute 98 minus 15, okay, and then divided it by 4%, it would be roughly in the 15, 17. Okay, so the highest score would be 7. It cannot be 24, mataas na yan, nasa 7% na yan. Okay, so there. But with just those values, cannot be computed. Familiar kayo sa cumulative percentage ng stanine? 4%, 7%, so on and so forth. Teka, check ko kung meron ako dito. Ito pala. Yes, that one. Okay? 4, 7, cumulative percentages to ha, 12, 17, so on and so forth. So we can see here, of course, pa-extreme ng pa-extreme, okay, even the extreme right, pababa siya ng pababa, syempre, pakonti ng pakonti, no? percentage na nasa side na yun. Side of the normal curve. Okay? May questions ba kayo dito sa ABC? Malinaw? Okay, we continue. 74. Easy. Interpret the following. The score that falls on the 72nd percentile means that apple, boy, cat, or dog. With conviction, answer? Boy, yes. A client performed better than 72% of individuals his age. A psychometrician reading the instructions of the test from a test manual. He adheres to the instructions word for word. Okay, this is an example of apple, boy, cat, or dog. Very good. Standardization. Dog. Everything is the same. Everything is standard from the administration to interpretation. 76. Tests become more reliable when it is apple, boy, cat, or dog. Of course, when it is unidimensional. Okay? The fewer the constructs assessed, the greater the reliability or the more homogeneous the test. 77, easy. The extent to which an instrument contributes information above and beyond the other information that you have is called apple, boy, cat, or dog. Everyone? Boy. Incremental validity. The cutoff score for the Spark mock exam is 70% with a rating of, ano lang to, hypothetical na, hindi ko alam, of not less than 60% in each of the subject area. This test, with this kind of scoring interpretation, is an example of apple, boy, cat, or dog. Okay, very good. Criterion, reference, test. So you're not really comparing yourself to the norm, but your performance relative to what is being predicted, which is your performance in the licensure exam. 79. Easy. You're an HR personnel who was tasked to hire 200 new sales agents out of 500 applicants. So what type of battery would you administer? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Dog. Of course, you want a brief test, and that can be administered to a group. 80. Tests that have statements that provide set of answers, as in multiple choice, are called apple, boy, cat, or dog. Huh? May kamali pa dito. Provide set of answers in multiple choice are called. Oh my. So, ang individual test, hindi pwedeng multiple choice? Kasi ang sagot ninyo, group test. Ang sagot ay dog, structured tests. Not all structured tests are just group tests, huh? There are a lot of individual tests that are structured. Saan kayo nalito doon? Basta multiple choice group test. Talaga? 81. You're interested in ano ba number? Tumalon kasi yung ano ko, 82. You're interested in developing a test of narcissism among teenagers. However, you're still unclear about the definition of this concept, narcissism. So what kind of validation study would you most likely do? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Of course, construct validation na, no? Bago tayo mag-predictive at bago mag-predictive, no? So alongside construct, we do content validation. 82. 83. The approach, ito, easy, to test construction in which the characteristic of the item for each individual item is analyzed is based on what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Individual item is analyzed. Individual item analyzed according to your performance in that item. What is your answer? Is there an item analysis theory? Item analysis is a process, but it's a theory. So what is the answer? Item response theory. Okay? Apple. Ano bang tinitingnan sa item response theory? Di ba per item yan ina-analyze? Halimbawa, ito yung sagot mo sa item number 1. The next item would depend on your performance in item number 1. So, what do you look for? Or what do you look at or examine the item response? The difficulty and the difficulty of the item and the wag muna yon. Ano yung tinitignan? So, you look at the item. When you look at the difficulty of the item, of course, it's relative to the person's ability. Okay? So, yun yung tinitignan sa item. Kasi item, response. With the item, your response. Theory. Okay? So, your performance in that item, okay, and the difficulty of that item would tell you which are the next items that will be included or given in a test. Number 84. Okay, when 100% of test takers get an item correct, what is true? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? You should know this now. I explained this already. Answer? Sumagot kayo lahat kahit mali para masaya. Oh, mas masaya. Anong sagot? Oh, hindi ako masaya. Kasi mali ang sagot ninyo. Dog! If the test taker... item difficulty, mataas na eh. 100%. Remember, when item difficulty is the percentage of person that gets the item what? Correct or incorrect? Correct! Okay, so it's not A. So it's dog. The item will have very low discriminability index kasi everyone gets it correct. So cannot say who is good, who is bad, no, in this particular test. Malinaw ba? 84. The advantage of the culture fair intelligence test over other intelligence tests is that it apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer. Yeah, so dog. It minimizes the effect of language and culture. You see, I heard someone say, a group who answered boy, no? It has to correlate with traditional IQ tests, okay? Because the culture for intelligence is an intelligence test, okay? So they have to converge. Okay, ito may computan dito. 86. Joy obtained a score of 40 on a self-esteem scale. If the mean score was 30 and the standard deviation was 5, what is Anna's T-score? Before we answer, what is the formula for T-score? What is the formula for T-score? Z-score times what? Times 10 plus 50. So, so the answer is, you would have to compute for the Z-score first, right? Okay. So, do you have your paper and pen there? Sige. Compute. Ang score niya is 40. Compute for the Z-score first. What's the Z-score? 40 minus 30. Z-score first. 40 minus 30 divided by 5. What's the answer? What's the answer? Oh, you substituted with the formula for Z-score. 2 times 10, 20. plus 50 equals 70. Lahat ba kayo may formula ng talaga? Ng Z, ng T, ng stem, ng stanine? Ang stanine pareho lang naman yan eh. Imbis sa 5.5%. Anyway, do you have the formula? Z, T, stem, stanine. Hindi, sa notes. Hindi ko na-browse eh. Wala? ZNT lang. Okay, so at least a ZNT. We'll do the stent and stanine later. Anyway, there's an item on the stent and stanine. Okay? So the answer is dog, 70. '86. Oh, easy ha? 87. Jessica scores high on social desirability on a personality test. What does this mean? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Social desirability, high score. It cannot, she's not faking bad. It's not dog. Oh, yes. Galit kayo. Kasi may ko dog eh. Oh, boy. She's like to present herself in a favorable light. Okay, ako na mali. 88. A good psychological report. Easy. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone. Apple. Yes, answers the referral question. That is very important. The briefness or conciseness, the comprehensiveness, it depends on the nature of the report. Okay? Number 89. The Code of Ethics of the Psychological Association of the Philippines is based on the following principles, except apple, boy, cat, or dog. Okay, very good. Apple. Education and discipline of psychologists. 89. What is it? Sino may question? The answer is apple. While it seems correct, no? But we have the Universal Declaration of Principles. So, specific yun. May 6. Okay? So, B, C, and D are specific. A is subsumed under competent caring for well-being of persons and people. Okay? 89. So, the answer is apple. Ulit-ulit. So, the answer is apple. Hindi yun ang kasama. Baka malito kayo. 89. Psychology. 90. Psychologists in the Philippines adhere to the following Universal Declaration of Principles, except apple, boy, cat, or dog? Cat. So there's no principle of veracity. Although veracities are being correct, no? We have to always be correct and accurate. No? But it's not considered as a core principle. No? Junel, a licensed psychometrician who works in a university, was diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Which of the following tasks is unethical for him to carry out? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Apple, counseling clients. Why? Why is it unethical? Again? Bakit? Ba't kayo natatawa? Seryoso yan. Bakit hindi siya pwedeng mag-counsel? Kasi? Okay. Kasi hindi yan pasok sa inyong descriptions. Inyong responsibility sa psychometrician. So regardless pa of his condition. Okay? But you can see he can actually conduct workshops and training for people who has the same condition. Okay? As long as supervised. 91. When is the appropriate time to ask a client to read and sign the informed consent? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? When is the best time or the appropriate time? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Okay. Now, ang narinig ko, apple at cat. Okay? It can be tricky, but the upon referral is medyo, hindi natin alam kung At what point? Because the client may be referred, but the client is not there yet. Okay? So, not in the center yet. So we cannot really ask him to sign the informed consent. So the most appropriate is before the assessment process begins. So even before the intake interview. So we already explained. Because once you do the intake, the assessment process begins. Okay? So before the intake. Ano nga bang intake interview?
When you assess what the need.
Okay, so the intake interview looks into the what? The reason for referral. So it's different from the one that looks at the background. What kind of interview do you do when you ask about the personal background, the family, the case history, social case history? Okay. 92. Easy. In communicating test results to clients, apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? All together. Oh my goodness gracious. You know, this is also, I saw this in the other exam, so you should know the answer to this already. Dog! A written report will suffice, but supplementing it with oral feedback is ideal. Written and oral feedback, not mandatory ang oral feedback, ha? Tama din yung boy. Kaya lang, mas tama yung dog. Okay? Yung mga sumagot ng A, sige, pag nagsusulat na kayo ng report, pati oral feedback, ha? Lahat yan. 93. 94. The following are included under the principle of professional and scientific responsibility to society. Apple, boy, cat, or dog. Except. Apple, boy, cat, or dog. Yes, dog. So except maximizing and offsetting harm. In-offset mo nga pero min-maximize mo muna, no? Yung harm. So that's completely wrong, no? So maximizing what? The benefits, okay, or the advantages, and offsetting harm. So D is the answer. It's not part of that principle. 95. The Code of Ethics enumerate guidelines under the following specific functions, except apple, boy, cat, or dog. Answer? Ang cute niyo, no? Pag tumahimik ako, binabago niyo yung sagot. So, ano yung sagot? Cat! Walang psychological testing. Assessment. Diba? Assessment, therapy, education, and research. Ang psychological testing, pasok na siya sa function ng assessment. Okay. 95. 96. You found out that Jack RPM is maligning the work of Bobby RPM. So parang silang psychometrician, no? Oh, naku, hindi maganda yung work ni Bobby. You may do any of the following except apple, boy, cat, or dog. Ano yung hindi pwedeng gawin? Unethical. Answer. Apple. You don't go to other assessment centers and inform them, oh, you know Bobby, ganyan. Tapos si Jack naman sinischismis si Bobby. So we don't do that, no? But you can inform the regulatory board. You can directly talk to them about it. Okay? And you can let the professional organizations, no, or their own affiliations, so kung saan sila nagtatrabaho, about their unethical behavior. 96. The release of revised versions of tests implies what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? That's right, cat. The previous versions are considered outdated and obsolete. For letter A, it may still be reliable and valid. Oo naman. Kaya may time, no, na allowed na pwede nyo pang gamitin yung lumang test. But after 2 to 5 years, you should already have the new version. So it doesn't make them unreliable and invalid, no? And yes, you may still base your recommendations from there if you're still using it, okay, within that grace period. Okay. 97. In the practice of psychological assessment, the following are ethical, except for apple, boy, cat, or dog? The answer? It's dog. None of the above. Everything is ethical. Your answer C, what makes it okay? Using a test that is unstandardized and has not been known. Remember, there are non-standardized tests, but we use them for assessment anyway, like the projective test. Okay? So, that's okay, as long as merong backing, no? That it is a good assessment tool. There's evidence that it can be used as part of the assessment. 98. If the client speaks in a dialect or language that is unfamiliar to the psychometrician, it is best to apple, boy, cat, or dog? Boy! Very good. Boy! So, pwede nyo munang hingan ng tulong ang inyong interpreter. May questions ba? Not so like it. Okay. 99. Ito, ano lang to? Pang-test ng kaalaman ninyo sa inyong papasukin. How many CPD points should you acquire in 3 years? Answer? 45. 100. To understand her client's 101. To understand her client's overall cognitive functioning, registered psychologist Pamela administered an ability test and an achievement test to her client. Different tests that are administered to understand the same psychological aspect serves what kind of function? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Boy, very good. Confirmatory. So they measure the same construct, which is intelligence, but you are using two different but related tests. Confirmatory. 102. Andre was referred for an assessment to understand his overall psychological functioning. So Pamela, the psychologist, administered one ability test and two personality tests kasi she wants to understand the overall functioning. Tests or measures that provide different information but serve to answer the same referral question serves what function? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? No. It's additive. When is complementary? When does the psychological test serve a complementary function? Remember, when the results are discrepant. When the results are discrepant, but you put them together, you integrate them, then they become complementary. Okay? But when you use different tests to assess, for example, overall psychological functioning, to answer a referral question, then it becomes additive. The information from an intelligence test, okay, is added to the information obtained from personality test. Hindi sila nagkokontrahan, di ba? Hindi sila nagkokontrahan kasi magkaibang test sila eh. Pero, if you put them together, you understand the person better. So the function of the test is additive. Is this understandable? Okay. So the answer is apple, additive. Psychometrician Joe has been conducting assessment for 8 years. When he assesses a client, he does not only examine the results, but he also draws from the wisdom that he acquired from his experiences in assessment. This knowledge or wisdom is called apple, boy, cat, or dog. Okay, of course, it's clinical judgment. So this is from experience, no? And knowledge from his trainings as well, that he brings to the process. 103. 104. Psychometrician Bell wants to know how her client Charles did on a test relative to the performance of other teenagers his age. This approach to interpretation is apple, boy, cat, or dog? relative to the performance of other teenagers his age. The technical term for this particular approach to interpretation is cat pa rin. Boy, nomothetic comparing to the norm. And the norm is what? What is the population? Yes, teenagers his age. So, nomothetic. 104. Psychometrician Bell noticed that her client, okay, did better in verbal tasks than in non-verbal tasks. She specifically noted that Charles is more adept at understanding spoken instructions than watching someone demonstrate it. This approach to interpretation, which compared Charles' abilities against his other abilities, is called what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Very good, apple. So, idiographic, no? Within the individual. 105, 106. Which of the following is not a source of assessment bias? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Dog, yes. So, all three are sources of assessment bias. Malinaw sa inyo itong tatlong to? Sources of assessment bias. Epidemiological, well, for example, reported, for example, incidents. Okay? Wala akong maisip na example ngayon na specific. Halimbawa, there are more males. Okay, top of the mind example na lang. Pero baka hindi culture fair. So, Japanese males are more prone to depression than females. Okay? So, when a Japanese client comes to you, okay, and seeks for assessment for symptoms of depression, so even without completing the assessment yet, okay, you operate from the idea that this person may be indeed depressed. Okay? So, there. No? So that becomes a source of bias in the assessment process. Is this clear? Okay. Next. Environmental impressions, malinaw. Okay, sige. 106. JC obtained an achievement score of 100 in the Norris Educational Achievement Test or NEET. This places him in the 32nd percentile. This score has a base rate of 80%. What does the 80% base rate mean? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? Hula. All of the above. The answer is cat. Base rate. Remember, base rate tells you how rare or common is the obtained score. So in this particular item, okay, yung score of 100 has a base rate of 80%. So kung ang base rate niya ay 80%, anong ibig sabihin? Common or rare ang kanyang score na 100? It's common. Now, among his age mates, bawa sa inyong lahat, no, kayo yung population, 80% of you obtained a score of 100. The rest of the 20%, you have different scores na. Okay? So the base rate is specific to the obtained score. Okay? Na-discuss ko to sa inyo, di ba? Base rate. Okay. I'll just show you again the PowerPoint later. 108. Blank is a reference point, usually numerical, derived by judgment and used to divide a set of data into two or more classifications. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Dog. Cut scores. When psychologists ask questions that can confirm but not refute or challenge their impression of a client, they are committing what kind of bias? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? confirming but not challenging the impression. So what type of bias is that? Confirming but not challenging. Confirming but not challenging. The answer is Apple! Confirmatory bias. So the question confirms your bias, okay, or confirms your impression. Okay, it doesn't. This is confirmatory bias. Okay, 109. The tendency to generate explanations for events that have already occurred is called apple, boy, cat, or dog. Events that have already occurred. Your bias is coming from. Okay? Yes. Hindsight bias. In hindsight, di ba? Kapag babalikan natin, throwback, kumbaga. Okay? Hindsight bias. So something has happened in the past, no? And what happened in the past is affecting the way you carry out the assessment. So that's hindsight bias. 110. When our selective memory cause us to make poor judgments, what kind of bias is this? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? So hindi na A, hindi na B, so you're left with C or D. So what is your answer? Cat. Availability heuristics. Ibig sabihin nito, kung ano lang yung naaalala ninyo, no? So yun yung kahit merong ibang impormasyon na dapat ninyong maalala para ma-conduct yung assessment or ma-interpret yung scores correctly, that selective memory creates or causes that bias. So that's availability heuristics. Okay. According to classical test theory, observed score or the obtained score, yung nakuha mong score, is the sum of apple, boy, cat, or dog. Altogether? Yes. Is the sum of the true score and the error. Of course, you take into consideration the possible errors that may influence the score that you got from the test. The following are correct about the true score except apple, boy, cat, or dog. So ibig sabihin which is not true about the true score. Answer? Yes. So boy, it is the average score given by 2 or more observers. No, so it's not the average score, no? It's the score that you get. 114. Where do you do the point-wise serial correlation to establish the what? The point-wise serial correlation between item and total score multiplied by the item standard deviation is called the what? So simply put, kailan nyo ginagawa yung point-wise serial correlation? To establish the? Yes, the reliability index. So the answer is apple. Okay, may pumapalampak. Ibig sabihin, nakuha tama. That's right. So, let's move to 115 first. Is it the same? Ano doble? Sorry. Ano yung 115? Okay. 115 is item response theory? Tama ba? Ano? Pero pareho nung... Patingin mo. Oh. Okay. Sorry, skip 115. We proceed to 116. 116. What's 116 in the item response theory, tama? In the item response theory, the probability of a person passing an item depends on the following except Ay, na-discuss natin to. So, ano dito? The probability of a person passing an item depends on the following. Except, apple, boy, cat, or dog. Kakasabi ko lang kanina. Alin ang hindi considered sa item response theory? Di ba sabi ko, dalawa ang tinitignan sa item response theory. Ano yung tinitignan sa item response theory? Difficulty and ability. So, anong hindi kasama? C, content of the test. 117. Ay, you wanna ano the point by serial? You wanna ano the, you want to discuss briefly the point by serial correlation. Actually, the point by serial correlation is done to assess the how discriminating the item is, no? Okay, so it correlates a score in an item to overall score. So familiar yung definition sa item discrimination, right? And it ranges from -1.0 to +1.0. So the closer to +1, the more discriminating the item. So katulad kanina, no, we want it higher. Okay, we want the correlation higher. Now, in the context of assessment, 0.30, while 0.20 is acceptable, no? Of course, you want something higher, 0.30 and above. If you want your item to be discriminating. Okay? Intindihan ba? So this is the statistic that we perform, the point by serial correlation. So in this particular example, item 1 has a point by serial correlation of 0.77, 0.78, no? So is it discriminating, yes or no? Item number 1, what is the sum of 2 plus 2? Yes. But the point by serial correlation is 0.78. So is it discriminating? Yes or no? Yes. So I assure you're on the higher end of the... Okay. Okay, good. So, naiintindihan ba? So, pag nakakita na kayo ng test manual, no? Sa technical manual, makikita nyo yan. Makikita nyo yung mga ganyang declaration ng value. So, naiintindihan na ba natin? Yes? Item number 8 has a point by serial correlation of 0.78, whereas item discrimination of 0.78. So, what would that tell you? Okay. Pagdating ng item 8, magkakaalaman na kung sino ang high and low performers. So maybe items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on what's stated, it may be the basal or the entry level items. So everyone may get it. Okay? But by item number 8, okay, I expect differences in the scores. This is clear? Okay. Number 117. Maria scored 18 out of 20 on a test that assessed her mastery of statistics. As per her professor's evaluation, a score of 18 is considered satisfactory. So the interpretation of test score is apple, boy, cat, or dog. Everyone? The answer is boy. Criterion reference. Okay? So it's based on a criterion set by the assessor, who is the professor. Satisfactory. Yeah, so it says, it did not compare the score to the norm, no, but to his own understanding of his criterion. 117, which is true about sampling. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Kailangan. Parang dog yun siya. So the answer is dog. The objective of sampling is to get the best participants to represent a population. What makes C incorrect? Probability and non-probability sampling. Okay? Sampling error is largest in non-probability or probability sampling. Sampling error. Malinaw ba sa inyo yung sampling error? Ibig sabihin yung sampling error, yung nakukuha yung samples hindi representative ng inyong population. Okay? So, is sampling error greater in probability or non-probability sampling? Yes. It's more likely that you will have sampling error on probability sampling techniques. Okay? Kasi hindi random, no? Underrepresented yung inyong population. 118. 19. Josh is developing the norms of his newly constructed test for adults. To do this, he gathered 1,000 adults with ages ranging from 25 to 70 years old. He divided his norming population to 5 groups. Josh randomly assigned his samples to these 5 groups. This sampling technique is called apple, boy, cat, or dog. Everyone? Apple, that's right. It's multi-stage stratified random sampling. So he got 1,000 samples initially, and then divided those 1,000 to 5 groups. And then, stratified random, kasi yung assignment niya dun sa 5 groups na yon, random na, no? So there is sampling within the population, okay, the population of teen. 119. To complete her study associating eating, breakfast, and mood, Nessie asked her schoolmates to answer her survey. She asked anyone who was willing to participate in her study. So what kind of sampling is this? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Clearly it's cat, no? So convenience sampling. Nessie needs 10 individuals who meet the following criteria for her study. The criteria are: passed the board licensure exam for psychometricians, 2, aged 40 to 60 years old, 3, working in civil service or in the government. Nessie's sampling is an example of apple, boy, cat, or dog. Everyone? Apple. Okay, so she needs to meet a certain number of participants. And these participants must meet a criteria. Quota sampling. 121. Which is true about obtaining a 122. Which is true about obtaining a good normative sample? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? I know that this is not in your not in your handouts, but yeah. So, ano sa tingin ninyo? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Hula. Oh, syempre, pagka may both A and B, so yun ang sagot natin. So, cat. Both A and B are true. So, we just have to remember, no? Group-administered tests should sample over 10,000. So, you see how we develop tests. No? You should really have that much samples to establish your norm. Okay? Over 10,000 per level. Okay? And for individually administered tests, you should have at least 200, okay, for each level. So imagine how much cost it entails really to norm. Yes, question? Snowball sampling. Okay. Anyone who would like to help me answer the question? In the simplest explanation.
Person B is making a test and his participants. So he says to person C, hey, I need participants. Oh, C, I know a friend who will also be a participant. Go, get that person also. Yeah. And friend goes friend to friend to friend to make a giant snowball, like a small and goes big. Yeah, because it spreads and then it's bigger. Yeah.
Para siyang snowballing, no? Snowball rolling. So, ikaw muna, tapos refer. So, yung friend mo, sasama din, yung friend ni friend mo, hanggang sa makakuha ka ng enough, no? Na samples. Is it clear? But, thank you for that question. Was it in the options? I was not able to explain. But yes, so that's how it's done. So, yung mga ganong sampling, hindi masyadong strict yung criteria, no, sa hinahanap na participants. Kasi it could actually be anyone. Okay? Or kung meron kang set na criteria, of course, the person who will be recruited by this person should, of course, satisfy the requirements. Is it clear? Okay. Thank you for the friend of the friend of the friend. That's just actually how it's done. You can make friends with the, okay, number 120. Ano na tayo? Harold administered his newly constructed test to 500 elementary students. After obtaining their scores, Harold used these scores as references for comparing and evaluating the scores of each. References for comparing and evaluating scores of each obtained score. So what did he perform? He actually did what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Boy, norming. Which is true about floor effects of a test? You're familiar with the floor and ceiling effects? Okay, good. So, apple, boy, cat, or dog? Answer? The answer is cat. Bakit? Explain natin. Floor of a test is the extent to which an individual can earn appropriately low scores. Ibig sabihin, itong low scores na to, okay, it has meaning. Okay? If it may be borderline, for example, and when you hit that score, no, it has a meaning and it's usually used as an interpretation which allows for making clinical inferences. For example, pag na-hit mo na itong score to, maybe the lower 4%, it means if your score falls in that section within the normal curve, it means that your ability is what, very poor, or whatever interpretation, borderline or whatnot. Okay, so it's true. This allows for making interpretations, especially in the clinical context. In the same manner, ceiling effects ganun din, but the higher end. Okay? So for 125, ceiling of a test are scores that are usually found where? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? That's right. So of course, nasa upper end siya. At least 2 standard deviations above the mean. Konti na lang. Which of the following converted scores are non-linearly transformed? Ibig sabihin, hindi equal ang kanilang, hindi linear ang kanilang, or standard ang distances between points. And it's what? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Yes, dog. Percentile rank. Ayun na, pinakita natin kanina. No? So, non-linear ang transformation ng percentile rank. Yung space between points are not standard, not equivalent, not equal. When the construct of a test is too narrow or homogeneous, blank results. Yung construct mo, masyadong narrow, masyadong maliit ang sakop. What happens? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? All together? Boy. Construct is underrepresented. Masyado ka namang stick dun sa very narrow definition of your construct. No? So, but the construct can actually be expanded. It's broader than how you defined it. So the construct is underrepresented. Hindi siya well represented in your text. Naintindihan ba? Okay. What happens when the content of a test is too narrow or homogeneous? So aside from it being the construct is underrepresented, is it apple, boy, cat, or dog? Hula. Okay. The answer is dog, all of the above. Of course, reliability increases, di ba? The more unidimensional, the more homogeneous reliability increases. However, you cannot generalize it kasi nga masyadong narrow no? Masyadong stringent yung definition mo ng construct. So, it may only apply to certain populations. Now, external validity is lower definitely because the construct is not completely defined, no? So, yes, so all of the above. 129. Evidence of validity that includes scores obtained at the same time. Refer to. Easy. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Everyone. Cat. Concurrent validity. 129. Evidence of validity that pertain to functional, real-life variables are referred to. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Real-life variables. Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Hula? Boy. Ecological validity. Real-life variables. Gaano ka true to life, ka makatotohanan ng iyong test. No? 130. Alma is looking for a test that would allow her to make informed decisions regarding the acceleration of select students in their school. So, if this is the concern, what validity should be evidenced by her test? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? To make informed decisions regarding acceleration of select students in their school. So, kailangan na niya mag-decide. The performance is now. The performance being evaluated is now. Not something that is that must be seen in the future. So it's not predictive. It's what? Okay. Acceleration. Paano mo masasabi kung i-accelerate mo ang student? Ano ang titignan mo? Okay, yun yung sagot. Diagnostic. Tama. Okay. Pero anong titignan mo? Para okay, I will accelerate you. Your strength. Right? Remember, diagnostic test assesses strengths, weaknesses, and allows you to formulate, make recommendations. So just the same, your test should have good diagnostic validity. You're not predicting anything naman eh. You have to make the decision now. Okay? Based on the performance in the test. 131. Tasha obtained an IQ score of 92 in the MAP2. This places her ability in the average classification. Her score may lie between the scores 87 to 97. In this example, the range of 87 to 97 is referred to as the apple, boy, cat, or dog. Everyone? Cat, the confidence interval. In scoring his client's responses, Melo set the confidence interval to 95%. What does 95% mean? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Altogether? The answer is apple. Melo is 95% certain or sure the client's obtained score lies within a specified range. Okay? 5% is not attributed to testing error, okay? But rather to true variance of the obtained test score. Okay? Error, sorry, not variance. 133. The mean, 34. The mean IQ score of a test is 115, with a standard deviation of 15. Anna's score on the test falls 3 standard deviations away from the mean. What is Anna's score? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Altogether? Cat. 160. So it's 115 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15. So 160. $135. As a rule of thumb, scores are significantly different if there is blank points difference between at least two scores. So apple, boy, cat, or dog. Scores are significantly different kung ilan ang points difference. I mentioned this in the lecture. I clearly remember it. Answer? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Okay lang ako magtatampo. Answer is boy. At least 10 points difference, right? 10 to 12 points difference. But it varies from test to test. But as a rule of thumb, it's 10 to 12 points difference. 20 is masyado ng malaki. Grabe naman yan, ano? 5, not significant. 135. A T-score of 70 may be considered as apple, boy, cat, or dog. T-score of 70. So how many standard deviations away na to from the mean? Kung T-score. Ang 70. Ilang standard deviations away from the mean if it's a T-score? 2. So, if it's two standard deviations away, it's more likely what? Above the average. Or above the mean. 136. The higher the base rate, apple, boy, cat, or dog? The more common it is, apple. Greg obtained an academic achievement score of 145. This score has a base rate of 3%. What does this mean? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Boy. Very good, boy. Greg's superior performance is rarely observed in his age group. Okay, so you remember, ang base rate, pag mababa ang percentage, hindi ibig sabihin poor performing ka, ha? Okay? Kung ang base rate ay mababa, maaaring rare ang case mo, pero dahil sobrang galing mo. Okay? So, base rates, if you will see, it's concentrated in the middle or the average. The more extreme the scores, the lower the base rate. Okay? So it goes both ways. Kasi minsan, they think that when the base rate is low, ibig sabihin your performance is bad. Okay? So that's not how we interpret the base rate. Okay, anyway. In a normal distribution, around how many percent falls within -1 standard deviation and 1, +1 standard deviation? Cumulative percentage. Ilan? Answer? Boy, that's right. 68, around 68%. So if it's between the mean and 1 standard deviation, how many? 34. But if it's from -1 to +1, so that's 68. About 68%. Malinaw ba yan? Yes or no? 139. Jesse's obtained score is 15. Compute for the z-score. If the mean score is 12 and standard deviation is 2. So you have the formula. Please compute if you are not sure of your answer. X minus mean divided by standard deviation, you get your z-score. What is the x? 15. What is the mean? 12. Divided by ST. What is your answer? Altogether? Cat. Positive 1.5. T-score, 141. If Jessa's score has an equivalent Z-score of positive 2, hindi na pala kailangan i-compute to. Sige na, kahit ano lang. Imagine niyo yung normal curve. If Jessa's score has an equivalent Z-score of positive 2, her T-score is apple, boy, cat, or dog? Dog, 70. Kunti na lang. 142. If the distribution of test scores is positively skewed, it means that the test is apple, boy, cat, or dog. Very good. So, ang bulk ng scores ay nasa left or right side ng curve ng distribution. Nasa left. Okay? So, ibig sabihin nasa mas mabababang score siya, so the test must be difficult. Okay? So, 143. If the distribution of test scores naman is negatively skewed, it means the test is apple, boy, cat, or dog? Boy. It's easy. So, nasaan ang skew? Saan nakapaling ang ating curve? Hindi pala normal ang curve. Ang curve, no? Nasa right. So, nasa upper end siya ng distribution. 144. What is the primary rationale for using STEN or STANine in scoring some personality tests? In personality tests, you will see STEN and STANine, right? So what is the primary reason for this? Your answer? Apple, boy, cat, or dog? Hula. Okay. All are, actually, A and B are correct. Okay? But, while STEN or STANine makes it easier for us to interpret the numbers, no? Ang tanong kasi, what is the primary rationale? Okay? STEN or STANine are a little precise than the other standard scores. Ang laki ng gap, ano? And sa personality kasi, di ba in theory, personality naman is not precise. Right? So we don't have to be very specific with the ranking or whatnot. But the STEM or STANine gives it loose, interpretation of score. So in personality test, it's most likely that you will see this kind of interpretation. Okay? Bihira yung extraversion falls on the 25th percentile. Tama din naman yun, kaya lang hindi siya as accurate in explaining one's personality. Sorry, the answer is A. Apple. 144, solve? Not solve, but I did. What is the correct formula for obtaining a STEN with reference to Z-scores? Sorry, wala nga pala. The answer is D. Z times 2 plus 5.5. Where did you get the 5.5? The constant. The 5.5 is the STEN. 10. 5.5 is the mean. Okay, that's why it's constant. So the Z-score, the Z is Z-score, ha? So in parentheses, Z times 2, the 2 is constant, plus 5.5. Okay? So sa STANine, what is the correct formula for obtaining a STANine with reference to Z-scores? Okay, so papalitan nyo lang yan. So kung ang mean ng STEN ay 5.5, ano sa STANine? Anong pagitan niya? Midpoint, is 5. So it's Z times 2 plus 5. The Z times 2 is in parentheses, ha? So you compute the Z times 2 first before you add the plus 5 or the plus 5.5. Again, this is in reference to Z scores. So if the raw score is given, you would have to compute muna for the Z before you proceed. Okay? 146, bilang nandyan na yung formula. Compute the equivalence then for a z-score of positive 2. Answer? Simple math na lang, ha? Answer is apple, 9.5. 148. Compute the equivalence timeline for a z-score of 2 then. Cat, 9. 148. Sorry. 149. What is the correct formula for obtaining a t-score with reference to z-scores? You said you have this in your handout. So what is it? Na-discuss na pala natin kanina. A, z times 10 plus 50. 150. Now, compute the equivalent t-score for a z-score of 2. Answer is? Do. What is the equivalent t-score for a z-score of negative 2? Negative 2. 30. Okay. Questions? So for 150, the answer is B, 70. Sakto 12 o'clock. Questions? Wala? Okay. So, that's it. Good luck with assessment. Lapit na. The deadline for submission is done. Yeah, so you may take your lunch. So if you don't have questions, or if you have questions, just you don't want to share it to the group, you just come in front, you ask me, okay? And good luck with your board exam.